this right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimpin' and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. See, that's the difference, nigga. The pimpin' mashing for these riches, nigga. Nothing like you master magician niggas. Smoking mirrors with your game, hella extras to reflect the opposite appearance of a lame. Bitches coming from y'all, I can't rock with those. Tender-footed and rooted in them doctor shows. Soft shoe rituals, minute residuals. Papers on life support, your loots and critical. Something I learned about when running my earned route and working with turnouts is murdering burnouts. Cause knocking one of you niggas for a scarred bitch, that's knocking one of you niggas for some garbage. I'm heartless regardless, empty with sympathy, but banked up to the max with pimpathy. No remedy for me, I'm like this. My life is vice grip, synced in permanent ink. You can't rewrite this. My blood type is P positive, beautifully deposited with a lot of it. I'm popping this shit, and when I pop it so hard I make a trapping ass bad bitch wanna hoe hard. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Come on, pimpin', man, pop that shit. Show these sucker niggas they can't stop that shit. Let these hookers know if they wanna cop that shit. Treat the bag like it's hot, bitch, and drop that shit. Dig. And to you hoes, if you ever took a loss, bitch, show these bitches how to bounce back like a boss, bitch. Let them know that the best way to floss, bitch, is reach that paper to some pimpin' hoe and toss it. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. All right. And we right back at it, man. Y'all already know what to do, man. First of all, excuse my pippin for the delay. But y'all already know what to do, man. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. And y'all know my first order of business. Hold on. Got to hydrate my game, man. Let me know if my audio sound cool, if I'm too loud, too low. Even though some of y'all be saying I'm too low when I'm good, and some of y'all be saying I'm too loud when I'm good. But I'm curious to know what y'all think though about a pimp's audio right now, man. Let me know something while I hydrate my game. You dig? Okay, the sound is good. Icebergs, good looking, man. Yeah, man. Cheers to the game. You dig? And I appreciate those of you who have wiped your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. But if you have not wiped your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain, please do so now, man. Hit that like button. Yeah, man, you know, first of all, shout out to the young ladies that do their best to be their best in the game. Shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Hold on. Y'all need a round of applause, man. Shout out to the ladies that do their best to be their best in the game, because it ain't a lot of y'all. I know that. And us real ones know that. And sometimes y'all might probably feel underappreciated or, you know, don't get the recognition you deserve. But it's all good, though. You know what I mean? And as we say in the game, 304s is meant to be seen and not heard. So as long as people see you doing your thing and recognize you for doing your thing, it's all good. But yeah, man, speaking of 304s doing their best to be their best, man, it's a lot that goes into that. And as I've said many times before, I'm saying it again. It's by design for you to fail as a 304. The game is designed. Well, I ain't going to say the game is designed, but things that have to do with the game, a lot of the dynamics that have to do with the game are designed for you to fail. The society and the way that it functions has a design that's meant for you to fail, a setup for you to fail as a 304, right? And you know, it's a lot of people in the game, a lot of things in the game that encourage your demise, right? You know, and one thing I want to talk about within all of this today is, you know, making decisions, but not just making decisions, but making the right decisions, not just making the right decisions, but making healthy decisions. Because, you know, health is something that we don't really talk about in the game enough. And y'all know me for being a healthy individual. You know me for eating a certain way and fitness, working out and things of that nature. But, you know, not enough people really talk about ladies in the game making healthy decisions every day. And it's unfortunate that there's not really a face of that. There's not really a point of reference for a lot of people to look at and say, okay, that's an example of a 304 in the game that makes the type of decisions that are healthy for her and avoids unhealthy decisions. You know, a lot of y'all don't really have a point of reference when it comes to that, especially on social media, especially on the internet. You don't really see it. So as somebody in the game who has not only seen it, but created it and knows about it firsthand, you know, I could speak about it. So that as of right now, this is probably the closest you're going to get to understanding what it is for a 304 to make healthy decisions every day and therefore live a healthy lifestyle. Big part of the reason why health isn't something that's like heavily discussed in the game is because a lot of unhealthy decisions are promoted and glamorized in the game. I'll go as far as to say most of the decisions that people know of are promoted and glamorized and unhealthy when it comes to this game, right? Like, you know, most of us in the game, we have a certain idea of what fun is, pleasure is, treating yourself is. You know, most of us in the game have a certain, when you think of pleasure, when you think of treating yourself, when you think of having fun as a participant in the game, most of us have a similar outlook and picture in our minds of what that's supposed to be. And a lot of it is based on what we see coming into the game. When we see coming into the game, you know, just imagine you fresh in the game, right? You're a young lady, you're a 304, you're a fresh turnout, you just getting your feet wet in the game. And you seeing other 304s that's down and around and you learning about their lifestyle, you learning how they live. Or you might choose a certain household and you seeing certain wifeys that's successful, they've been down before you, and you seeing how they live, right? And whether it's a wifey in your household or it's other 304s down and around, you seeing them doing their thing. They got the designer bags, they got the foreign luxury whip, you know, they got the luxury condo or whatever. They got all the designer clothes, you name it, whatever a young lady could want out the game. As you being a fresh turnout in the game, it looks like they got it. And so you see all of this, and then at the same time that you see all of this, you might see how they maneuver, how they deal with tricks, how they talk to tricks, you know, and some of them got real good charisma. Some of them got real good mouthpiece, and they just know the right things to say and do to break a trick. Like, not just accept whatever a trick feel like giving them, but break a trick. And then at the same time that you seeing all of this, you seeing these young ladies' idea of what pleasure is to them. You're seeing what fun is to them. You're seeing what treating themselves is to them. And then you start to see a lot of alcohol. You start to see a lot of drugs, right? And you start to see an overindulgence of these things. And because you're seeing this along with the perception of success, what you think is success, you start to think that all of this is a part of the game. All of this is supposed to be a part of the game. You know, when you're a young 304 and you know, doing what you're supposed to do on the business side, you handling your business and you running it up and you handing it over to the right folks and you just doing everything that you're supposed to do. You should be able to treat yourself to some powder. You should be able to treat yourself to some pills. You should be able to take a bottle of Douce to the neck, to the face. You dig? Because this is what you see coming into the game. So you develop this understanding in a formative point in your career as a 304, right? And so this scenario that I just described applies to the majority of chicks in the game. It's just the truth. Whether you, again, like I say, you choosing a household that got wifeys that was there before you doing a thing, or you come into the game through some friends of yours that, you know, you might not understand the difference, but in actuality are renegades. But whether it's renegades or some chicks a part of the household that you choosing or whatever the case may be, whether you coming into the strip club and you seeing all the girls in the strip club, how they maneuver, how they do their thing, just about everywhere you go, every avenue of the game, this is what you're going to see. Now, you might hear different people in the game talk about, oh, them bitches on the track, they ain't shit. Or, oh, them bitches in the strip club, they ain't real 304s. Or, you hear people that do it this way criticize the people that do it that way all across the board. The people on the blade criticize the people on the internet. The internet people criticize everybody. The people that play the casinos and bars and resorts and things of that nature, the carpet, they down talk to people on the blade. But one thing they all got in common, though, is they all on drugs and they all on alcohol. The majority of them, they on something. Either they on alcohol or they smoke too much weed to where they're not functional, or they doing, the hardcore drugs. Some people call them designer drugs to make themselves feel better, but it's really the hardcore shit. Anything that can unalive you is hardcore as far as I'm concerned. So I call that the hardcore shit. But they all doing that shit. Bitches on the blade, they drink, they overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches in the in-calls playing the internet, they overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches in the strip club is for sure overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches that play the carpet, casinos, bars and shit like that, they all overindulging in drugs and alcohol. That's something that's synonymous with all avenues of the game. Whatever part of the game that you come in through, this is what you're going to see. The majority of. I'll go as far as to say 99% of. It's probably 1% of chicks in the game that's not, overindulging in these things. Right? And so, like I said, it's by design for you to fail, because these choices that you see these chicks, your fellow 304s making on a daily basis, are unhealthy choices. These choices end up with a lot of these chicks losing their lives at a very young age. These choices end up with a lot of chicks, probably making some irrational decision that's going to land them in prison for a long time. And, some of these choices that you see these chicks making on a daily basis land them in the streets, strung out on drugs and, just fucked up. Right. And then, just adding to that, another unhealthy choice is, that what doesn't make it any better is a lot of these tricks overindulge in drugs and alcohol. And that's how a lot of ladies in the game get involved in that shit. If they don't get involved if they don't get involved with it through their folks, they get involved with it through a wifey or a quote unquote hoe partner, HP. And if they don't get involved with it through that, they get involved with it through a trick. Right? It's like everywhere you look and everywhere you turn, this shit is being pushed into your face as a young lady in the game, right? So it's sad because you have some chicks that come into the game pure. They come into the game having never touched drugs or alcohol or tobacco or any of that, right? But when they come into the game and everywhere they look, everywhere they turn, they folks is drinking and getting high. They wifeys is drinking and getting high. All the bitches that they see on the blade is drinking and getting high. Every trick they do a date with is drinking and getting high. They start to think like, damn, is it even possible for me to function in this game, to maneuver and thrive in this game without being under the influence of drugs and alcohol? And so, my answer to you, flat point blank is yes, of course you can, right? And see, like I said, it all boils down to choices. And some choices are tough to make, but they definitely choices that you got to make nonetheless, right? And not only is there a lot of things within the game that kind of prompt you and encourage you to make unhealthy choices every day, just American society, period. Even if you're not in the game, it's a lot of shit within American society that sets you up to make unhealthy choices every day. Right? So, like I said, when it comes to the game, drugs and alcohol is being presented to you and shoved down your throat, figuratively speaking, everywhere you turn. And then on top of that, you know, whether you're in the game or not, if you're in America, you know, all kind of unhealthy shit is being pushed in your face every which way you turn. You know, as you can see on the thumbnail, there's an image of a young lady that's like undecided, and there's all these choices around her. You know, a lot of the choices are drugs and alcohol, but then one of the choices is processed foods. Just bullshit, unhealthy ass foods that have no nutrients, no nutritional value to it. Right? And see, this is the shit that it may not hit you right away. It might not hit you now. You might not feel it now, but you know, sooner or later, you're going to have a lot of issues if you continue eating this way for years and years and years. Right? See, like I said, health isn't something that's really promoted in the game in general, and not just in the game in general, but it's not really promoted to young ladies in the game. And that's why we having this conversation right now. You dig? But, you know, and to be honest with y'all, a lot of y'all know I've been living a healthy lifestyle for a long time, but also for a long time, up until more recently, I was the type that, you know, I wouldn't really try to persuade the young ladies in my household to be the way that I am, to live the same type of lifestyle when it comes to health as me. I would kind of allow them to make their own decisions, and not just allow them to make their own decisions, but not necessarily be intentional about, you know, getting them to gradually become as healthy as me. Right? Because to be real with you, you know, I never really, for a long time, I didn't really picture women in the game living a lifestyle equivalent to mine as far as health goes. I just never really, because I've had chicks that come through the door portraying themselves that way. I've had chicks that come through the door portraying themselves as somebody that's just as healthy or wants to be just as healthy as me. But, you know, when they come through the door, you know, time is going to tell sooner than later that they not really built like that. That they, you know, they weak for alcohol. They weak for cocaine. They weak for pills. They weak for the drive-through. They weak for microwave food. They weak for soda or juice. You know, they just weak for a lot of shit that to me is nothing to resist, right? And, you know, I don't expect anybody to just come through the door like me, because it took me a long time to get this way. But, you know, it's one thing to be weak for something, and then it's another thing to just like have the spirit of failure and just, you know, just lay down and succumb to the bullshit. And, you know, I can't function with people like that. It ain't gonna last long. So, but at the same time, like I said, I have created and I have dealt with and I have seen young ladies that live a healthy lifestyle within the game. It's possible. I know a lot of people think it's not possible, but it is possible, right? And see, you know, the thing is, first of all, like I say all the time, you are what you eat, not just what you put into your mouth, but what you put into your presence as well. The company that you feed yourself. You're going to become that to some extent if you keep feeding yourself that on a regular basis, right? So, like me, as fortified as I believe my mindset is as far as like health and fitness and taking care of myself the way that I do, it wouldn't be wise for me to hang out with people that go to the drive-thru every day, right? Because one of them days I might slip And as much discipline as I have, it's playing with certain spirits that I ain't got no business playing with. So you never know. One of them days I might slip and just say, you know what, it won't be so bad if I eat this drive-through food just this one time. It ain't gonna be too bad. Then one time turn into two times turn into a few times, and a few times turn into all the time. Next thing you know, a pimp done totally backslid from his way of life. And the same thing goes with alcohol. If I'm hanging out with alcoholics knowing that I'm not one, it's gonna be a temptation there sooner or later. No matter how self-disciplined somebody is, that temptation is gonna play with your spirit. And if you keep on playing with it, you just might fall victim to it. Right? I can't imagine myself doing drugs at all. But if I'm hanging out with drug addicts all the time, just me logically thinking, it would only be a matter of time before I say, damn, you know what? I wonder what that shit feel like. I wonder how that would affect me if I tried that, especially if I'm going through something. You never know. I might have lost a loved one, like I have a lot in past few years. I done lost a lot of loved ones. Who's to say that if I was hanging out with drug addicts during them times that I might not have ended up like that, right? So I know I got enough sense to not, hang out with them types of people and play with them kind of spirits, because I like the way things are right now with myself, and I'm not gonna change that, and I'm not gonna play with that. I'm not gonna compromise that, right? So on the same token, when it comes to young ladies in the game, you got to understand you are what you eat. Now it's kind of hard because, just like in certain environments, it's kind of hard to find healthy food. It's kind of hard to shop healthy. It's kind of hard to eat healthy, but it's possible if you're intentional about it, right? On the same token, it's kind of hard to, as a 304, not keep the company of unhealthy bitches because they're everywhere. But it is possible though. And see, this is another reason why I do this, because I understand that I got the power of influence, right? And like I tell y'all all the time, man, some of y'all might see me as a teacher and I might inadvertently teach you certain things, but I don't see myself as a teacher. My objective is to inspire you to become better, because that's what I want to see. I want to see a generation of better individuals in the game moving forward, and each generation becoming better and better. It's a far-fetched idea, but I believe it's possible. And I know that I got the power of influence, so I'm going to do my best to influence that objective as much as possible, right? So with that being said, I know that there is not a lot, but I know that there are some young peas out there that, don't indulge in drugs and alcohol, ain't a slave to tobacco, ain't a slave to processed unhealthy foods, go to the gym and work out every day, take care of themselves, are the masters of themselves, and they available and payable and everything but playable. They out there. I know they are. I know I'm not the only one. I know other individuals, and I know there has to be more than just the individuals that I know, because I don't know everybody in the game. But I know a good, amount of individuals. I ain't gonna say no majority or nothing like that, because it's far from that. But I know a good number of individuals in the game that's similar to myself, that they ain't into drugs and alcohol, and they not a slave to tobacco or bullshit food, and they take care of themselves a certain way. I know I'm not the only one, right? So with that being said, when it comes to the young ladies in the game, you got to make up your mind. You got to make up your mind that you want to be your best, and you're going to do your best to be your best, right? So within that, it's ideal for you to choose the right individual. Understand that you're going to choose somebody. Even for you bitches that might say, well, I don't want to choose no pimp because all these pimps is this and all these pimps is that, this, that, and the third. But look at yourself. What are you? Because a lot of bitches that criticize pimping, they got a lot of issues with themselves that they need to correct, right? But this is why you choose a pimp. And if you're intentional about what you want, if you have a made up mind about the things that you want out the game, you'll be more serious and intentional about your choices. See, when you don't give a damn, when you don't care about your body, when you don't care about your mind, when you don't care about your future, you'll choose anybody. That's what makes you able and capable of choosing anybody, is that spirit of carelessness, consuming you. When you don't care about shit, just like you don't care about the food that you put in your mouth, just like you don't care about that bullshit you put up your nose or in your veins, just like you don't care about that bullshit you put in your lungs, just like you don't care about that bullshit you put down your throat, you don't care about the type of people that you put in your life. So when you don't care about all that shit, and then you put somebody in your life that you don't really care about the quality of, and then they disappoint you like inevitably they will, you can't be mad. You can't be mad. See, this is when it's time for a young lady to look at the choices that she's making. This is when it's time to like look at yourself in the mirror. Give yourself that hard look that you've been dodging, that you've been ducking and dodging for the longest. Give yourself that hard look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? Why am I with this guy? Why am I with this guy that can't stop gambling? You got bitches that know they fucking with somebody that got a gambling problem. And listen, man, I got some people that I love in the game that are near and dear to me, man. They got a gambling problem. But I've seen what that shit, the outcome of that shit. And on the real, as much game as they may have, as much pimping as they may have done in their life, as much, pimpishness as they may have about them. Hey, man, if you gonna take the 304's trap every time you get your hands on it and run to that gambling hall, man, that casino or that table or whatever, you don't deserve a 304's trap. You really don't. And it's crazy, I'm saying this, and I know that there's certain individuals that if I was to tell them that, they're gonna want to fight me probably, or they gonna want to argue me down. But you really don't, though. Because just think about that. A lot of times it's the pimping, and that's one thing that saved me from gambling. It's just because that's, like I say all the time, I'm a firm believer and proponent of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. So when you believe in the golden rule, and you want people to do unto you as you would have done unto yourself, like you look at things from other people's perspective, and you think to yourself like, damn, what is this person going through? Like a 304. Think about all the sacrifices that the 304 make. Think about all the chances that they take. Think about all the shit that they go through dealing with tricks and police and pimps and other 304s. Just think about what a 304 go through on a daily basis. And then she has the nerve to still get up all this money throughout all this bullshit and hand it over to you at the end of the night every night. When I start looking at shit like that, because I never really had a gambling problem, but I have had my times where I done gambled and I lost like maybe a few hundred, maybe even 1,000 or some shit like that. I ain't never lost no thousands or tens of thousands like some people that I know. And the reason why I never got to that point is because it'll be times where, a 304 will hand me a trap and then I'll go gamble and I might lose a big portion of it. And I'll think to myself like, this is fucked up, because this bitch just went and sucked and fucked and went through all the shit she had to go through to hand me this money. trusting me to make good on this money, trusting me to do the right things with this money, and I'm sitting here gambling this shit. That's crazy. So that's what made me pump my brakes and just the reason why I don't gamble at all. You dig? So that's why I could say that a pimp that has a gambling problem and, this 304 is handing her money to him on a daily basis and he's sitting up there gambling that shit off. Man, I done seen pimps do some fucked up shit with that trap, man, at the casino, man. I'll just say that. I ain't gonna get into no specifics, man, but I done seen some partners of mine, man, do some shit that's like, it ain't cool, man. So, but yeah, if you a 304 and you choosing somebody like that, you got to look at yourself and understand what allows you to choose somebody like that. See, if you're living a healthy lifestyle and you intentional about how you feel about yourself and take care of yourself and how you look, how you feel, how you function and all of that, when you intentional about them things and you give a damn about them things, you're not going to make certain choices. You might slip up and choose the wrong individual, thinking that it was something that it wasn't. But once you get in there and figure out that it ain't for you, you're going to move around. You're going to exercise the power of choice in the form of, choosing the next individual. Right. But yeah, man, a lot of young ladies need to take that long, hard look in the mirror. Right. And see, it's a beautiful thing when you understand self-mastery and you choose somebody who practices and exemplifies self-mastery. When you choose a pimp that is the master of himself, and then you start to reflect that. Because as we say, the way the game is supposed to go, a 304 is a reflection of who she chooses, a reflection of her folks, a reflection of who she representing. So if you represent somebody that's the master, that's truly the master of himself, not somebody that's just saying that, but somebody that's really displaying that. Because a lot of motherfuckers will say they the master of themselves, but they can't put the weed down. They can't put the alcohol down. They can't put the dice down. They can't put the blackjack or the poker cards down. They can't put the bullshit food down. They can't put the powder down. They can't put the pills down, but they supposed to be the master of themselves. And all of these things that I just mentioned has them mastered. They're being mastered by those things. They're a slave to those things. They serve those things and those things don't serve them. But they supposed to be the master of themselves. See, it sounds like some slick shit to say. But it's really, and it ain't easy all the time. You'll get to a point as the pimping where, being a master of yourself, is something that you just in a lot of aspects you become accustomed to, but it's not easy. It's something that you have to work on constantly. Like me being the master of myself, that's something that I constantly work on, and I'm always finding new aspects of myself to master. As much as people may look at me and think I got that shit down, I'm looking at myself like, you know what? This area over here, I got all these things over here, cool, but this area over here, I need to tighten up right here, or I need to tighten up in these few areas over here. I'm constantly working on myself and constantly doing that, right? Because I might know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And because I don't know everything, I'm constantly learning new shit about the body, learning new shit about the mind, and learning new things about myself and tightening up on them things. So being a master of yourself it's not just some slick shit to say. Just because a motherfucker think they handsome and talk good don't mean they the master of themselves. But as a young lady in the game, this is what you want to choose. You want to choose somebody that's the master of themselves. You want to choose somebody that, as fine as you are, they can resist your body with no problem. You know, you don't want somebody that you can control. You don't want somebody that you could tell him, Daddy, can we go get some McDonald's? And he go with you and he eat McDonald's with you. You don't want nobody like that. It might sound extreme, but hey, do you want to be extremely successful? Do you want to thrive extremely in the game? Do you want to be extremely one of the best people in the game, if not the best person in the game as a 304? You know, if you want extreme success, then you got to take extreme measures. Right? I know that's how I see it. I'm an extreme motherfucker. For real. You dig? So yeah, you know, you don't want nobody that, you know, you can get drunk and have your way with. You don't want to choose nobody like that. You don't want to choose nobody that got a bunch of bitches that he can't control. Or even one bitch that he can't control. And that doesn't have control of herself. You know, because pimping ain't always necessarily about controlling everything and everybody. You know, pimping is more so about leading people that can control themselves. Cause me, I don't necessarily want to control a bitch, especially a grown bitch, you know, grown ass woman. What the fuck I look like controlling a grown ass woman? No, I'm a lead her and guide her to control herself in the best way possible. And, you know, she's going to follow my lead within that. But no, I need women that's going to control themselves. Right? And this is as a young lady in the game, as a 304, this is who you want to choose. You want to choose somebody that is the master of himself and therefore has self-control. And then if you're choosing a household where you're going to have wifeys, the ladies within that household have control of themselves. And they're following the lead of a pimp who has control of himself. Right? Because, you know, as the pimping, you can't be there with the bitch all the time. So if you're about controlling a bitch, then, you know, how are you going to control this bitch when your eyes ain't on her? When your presence ain't there with her? You know, how you going to control this bitch if you in Chicago and she's in Portland? If she's in Hawaii and you in motherfucking Boston, how you going to control this bitch? You can't. But what you can do is, you know, guide her and game her up in a way where she can control herself to the best of her ability under your leadership and your guidance. This is what the pimping is going to do. So as a young lady in the game, as a 304, you want to choose a man that got it going on like that. This is the kind of pimp that you want to choose. Because just like he's the master of himself and he has the ability to control himself, and he's leading and guiding these young ladies that control themselves, by you choosing a household like that, you're going to be the same way. He's going to lead you and guide you to be able to control yourself to the best of your ability. You know? Just picture being a part of a household where everybody is healthy. Everybody's eating living foods. Everybody ain't eating processed foods. Everybody ain't eating a bunch of bullshit. There's no tobacco nowhere in the house. There's no weed nowhere in the house. There's no pills or powder nowhere in the house. There's no alcohol bottles nowhere in the house. Everybody got gym memberships and go to the gym like people go to the church. Everybody read and exercise and feed their brain the way they supposed to. Right? Everybody is working to be better today than they were yesterday. You know? And then when they go out, it's a trick got hell to pay when they go out to do their thing. a trick got hell to pay. Right? This is what you want to be a part of. Right? And I know a lot of people, even certain individuals that call themselves the pimping, they can't, you can't even picture having a household like that. And a lot of you young ladies, you can't even picture being a part of a household like that. Hey, but it's possible. And it's going on. It's not a lot of it going on, but it's going on. Right? And see that when you being groomed this way and laced this way and these things are being instilled in you, this is what makes it nothing for you to conquer a trick. This is what makes it nothing for you to go out there and just, devour a trick. Right? Because again, back to, if you don't give a damn what you put in your mouth and what you put in your body, and therefore the company that you keep and the people that you put in your life, if you don't give a damn about them things, then you definitely ain't gonna give a damn about, how you approach a trick, and you're not going to be intentional about the outcome, and you just going to be like, whatever happens, happens. Whatever you feel like giving me, that's cool. If you want to give me 40 or 50 bucks, hey, so be it. Because you don't care about nothing. You just got carelessness. You don't care about who you choose. You don't care about who your wifey's is. You don't care about what you put in your mouth. You don't care about what you put in your nose. You don't care about the company that you keep, so you don't care about what a trick feel like giving you. But on the other hand, when you choose somebody that's the master of himself and has self-control and is instilling self-control in these young ladies that's under his tutelage, and then you become one of them young ladies under his tutelage, and you constantly on a daily basis, because you keep in the company of these people, you just feeding yourself the right shit. When you go out there to go deal with a trick, he ain't gonna stand a chance. The little tactics that he gonna try to come with, he don't stand a chance. That shit that he be pulling on them other bitches, he ain't gonna be able to pull that on you. Why? Because you give a damn. You give a damn what you put in your mouth. You give a damn what you put in your mind. You ain't putting no bullshit in your nose. And you give a damn about the company that you keep, the experiences and the conversations and the presence that you feed in yourself on a daily basis. You give a damn about that type of shit. So you give a damn about what's coming out of your mouth. You give a damn about using this before you use this, right? So when you get in front of a trick, he ain't gonna stand a chance. First of all, your approach is going to be completely different than what he's used to. He's used to, hey, baby, you want a date? He's used to being able to dictate the conversation the way that he wants to. He's used to being able to set the tone between him and a lady in the game. He's not used to how you're about to come at him. He's not accustomed to that. Right? And it's nothing like a 304 that got so much game that she just breaking a trick for everything with a smile on his face. He breaking himself to this bitch for everything with a smile on his face. You know what I mean? Now, hey, the game is by hook or by crook, but hey, it's just a beautiful thing, man, when you got them type of young ladies, man, that just, they just know how to get a trick to break himself for everything with a smile on his face. The crook side, that's cool too. You dig? People still, shine and win and do their thing off of that. But hey, it's just so much more game involved. It's just a different aspect of the game. It's just a different feeling, man, when a bitch know how to break a trick and he got a smile on his face the whole time. He glad to break himself. You dig? Hey, man, it ain't nothing like it, man. And then just as the pimp and knowing that you lacing and guiding bitches to do this type of shit, man, hey, it's a beautiful thing, man. Yeah, man. Healthy choices. And see, I'm putting this on your mind right now because I know there's some young ladies out there that might get discouraged. They might have thought about living this way. They might have thought about, having it like this, but then because everything is being presented to them on a daily basis, they got discouraged and they fell off. And next thing you know, they doing what everybody else doing and living like everybody else live. But hey, I'm telling you, it's some young gentlemen out there. Like I said, Freeze ain't the only one. Freeze is one though. Don't get it twisted. Freeze is one of those guys. You know what I mean? Freeze is the type of individual that at this point in my game, hey, listen, I don't give a damn how nice her money is, how sexy she is, and how cool she is and all that type of shit. Hey, listen, I want a bitch that's gonna be like me. I don't want to drive you to the dispensary. I don't want you to drive yourself to the dispensary. I don't want none of the traps spent on weed. I don't want no trips to the dispensary being made at all. I don't want no trips to 7-Eleven or the smoke shop or any of this shit to go get some backwoods or grab a leaves and all that. I don't want none of them trips being made. I don't want no trips to the liquor store being made by anybody in the household. I don't want no liquor nowhere in the mix. We not eating no bullshit ass food. We not going to nobody's drive-through. We not eating no shit that you put in the microwave and heat up. We not doing that. So like I said, at this point in my game, man, that's how I'm gonna have it. That's the way it's gonna be. And I don't want it no other way. I don't want no bitch that's weak for a bunch of shit that I'm not weak for, and that I don't want to be a part of. And I just ain't trying to be with nobody, have nobody in my household that's unequally yoked, right? And that is the true definition of quality over quantity. I'm so big on quality right now. It don't even make no damn sense how big on quality I am right now. You dig? But hey, man, and see, this is what you got to understand too, right? As a young lady in the game, let me just break it down for you, right? Hey, me being my best in all of these ways, this is what helps me be my best to you that I could possibly be. This is what helps me treat you better than anybody is ever going to treat you. And that can look good and it could look ugly at times, but it's still for the greater good of yourself, right? Because back when I used to drink alcohol on a regular basis, I wasn't able to be my best to you that I could possibly be to you. I couldn't treat you the best that I could treat you at that time when I was consuming alcohol on a regular basis. When I was going through drive-thrus, eating Jack in the Box and Carl's Jr. and all that type of shit, I wasn't able to be my best to you that I could possibly be. Because I'm not being the best to myself. So how am I going to treat you better than I treat myself? Because you want somebody to treat you better than drive-through food. But if I'm treating myself to drive-through food, how am I going to treat you in a way that I'm not even treating myself? Right? See, right now, I treat myself the best possible. That's my mindset. I got to treat myself better than anybody else ever could, because nobody going to treat me the way better than I treat myself. So like, I'm treating myself like a god. I'm treating myself like a god right now. Hey, God ain't going through nobody's drive-through. God ain't putting McDonald's in his mouth. God ain't putting cigarettes in his mouth. God ain't putting alcohol down his throat. God ain't putting pills in his mouth. God ain't putting powder up his nose. God ain't shooting no bullshit in his veins. Hey, listen, man, I'm treating myself like God. For real. The closest you gonna get to God is what you looking at right now. For real though. You know what I mean? If you want God in the flesh, hey man, you might not be able to get him right now, but hey, his little homie is right here though. You dig? This is close to God as you gonna get, for real. So because I treat myself in that way and I hold myself to such a high regard, just imagine how I'm going to treat you as my woman, as my lady in the game. Imagine how I'm going to treat you. Imagine how I'm going to care for you, mind, body, and soul. Imagine how I'm going to protect you. Imagine how I'm going to empower you to protect yourself and treat yourself the way I treat myself. Just imagine that. You dig? You know, like, just like I'm not going to fall weak to you because your physical is just so attractive that I can't help myself. See, this is what's going to empower you, that when you in front of a trick, you're not going to fall weak to him in no kind of way. Because you might think he's attractive, or he might got the drug of choice, or, you know, some other thing that you like he's able to provide you with, so you're going to fall weak and you're going to compromise yourself to this trick like a lot of bitches in the game do. No, it's impossible for that to happen for you because you represent somebody that it's impossible for that to happen with him, with you. So just like he not going to fall weak to you, you not going to fall weak to the trick. Why? Because you're a reflection of him. You're a reflection of the closest thing to God in the flesh. So you a goddess in the flesh. Man, I'm kicking some game right now, man. I don't even know. This shit might be a little too heavy for a lot of you motherfuckers, man. Hey, man, if you ain't wiped your motherfucking feet off at the door right now, man, that's the only thing a pimp asks for, man. Hey, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button, man. Some heavy game, but it's real, though. For real. It's some heavy game, but it's real. Me acknowledge my peoples on these supers one time. Reap Cash, as always, good looking with the $5 holla. That Vitamin P project got me motivated. Them toes been damn, I gotta, where my, hold on a second, y'all. So I could see a little bit better. Give me just a second. Okay, back to Reap Cash. That Vitamin P project got me motivated. Them toes been getting out of pocket. Getting out of pocket, P, but it don't count. If I can't count, rest in peace, Sinful to P. Reap Cash, appreciate you, man. Robert Williams, good looking with the $10 holla. Keep spitting, bro. Game consciousness and self-love. Yes, indeed, man. You know we got to do it. Marcus Mitchell, good looking with the $10 holla. Blessings to you, Freeze. I tried to send it during the tribute to our brother, Marcus, for the record. Oh, it's all good, man. You know, better now than never. You dig? Appreciate you, man. Reap Cash, good looking with the $10 holla. I needed to hear this and want to slow down and focus on working out and leveling my game up. But I've been going hard, drinking, eating bad while kicking game, and it seemed like the toes loved that vibe more. Yeah, you know, see, be honest with you, Reap Cash. You know, it's a lot of chicks in the game that like low maintenance niggas. I know this because I've been a low maintenance nigga before. Well, I ain't gonna say. Well, I can't say that. At the time, in real time, I've never thought that I was a low maintenance nigga. But looking at who I am now, oh yeah, I definitely was low maintenance before. You dig? And when you're low maintenance, a lot of chicks are gonna be attracted to you. When you eat bullshit food, when you drink a lot of alcohol, when you have like a similar type of carelessness for yourself that these bitches do for themselves, then yeah, they gon' a lot of them is gonna be attracted to that. Especially if you, on top of that, you charismatic and all that type of stuff. You dig? Yeah, they gonna be attracted to that. But and it might seem like it's working for a while. But, everybody don't think about longevity, man, but this is something that you should think about, which is longevity. And when you think about the long run, because that's like, I was young when I started thinking about certain things, right? Because like I said before, I grew up with 10 uncles. The majority of my uncles who passed away, which is 8 out of the 10, I only got 2 left. A lot of them had health problems because poor lifestyle choices. A lot of them was putting bullshit in their body, smoking cigarettes or drinking too much alcohol or eating too much fried foods with a bunch of fried and bunch of seed oils and shit like that, or just a bunch of processed microwaved ass food. I seen all of that in my family. So at a young age, I made a decision to start living. I think about when I get older. And, if you drink a lot of alcohol starting at a young age and you carry that into an older age, you heighten your chances of having Alzheimer's or dementia. I don't want to have dementia. I don't want to go out like that. If you've ever seen anybody go through that, man, that shit is miserable, man. It's fucked up. I don't want to put my kids through that. I don't want my kids to have to deal with me having dementia and that's how I go out. Hell no. Right. So, I just think about myself at an older age and how I want that to be. And what's so beautiful about social media is that there's so many examples of that on the internet, man. It's so many people that's in their 90s and over 100 years old that's still active, that still get up and move around and, bathe themselves and cook for themselves and drive themselves around and, exercise and do fitness shit. That's who I want to be, God willing, if I live to be 90 and 100 years old. That's how I want to be. I don't want to be all fucked up and tubes up my nose and, can't talk because I done had strokes. I seen my grandmother go out like that, man, and that shit, I ain't trying to be like that. You dig? So, yeah, man, the deposits that you make now are going to affect, your outcome later in life. And, when you're young and, you having fun and you doing whatever you want, when you want, how you want, you don't think about them days. But me, like I said, I started thinking about that shit when I was in my late 20s. I'm looking at the shit that my family is going through in their older age. And I'm like, man, I ain't trying to be like that. So even aside from just the game and, a healthy lifestyle making you, much more highly functional in the game, aside from that, just, the type of deposits that you make within yourself that's going to affect your future as an older person, that should motivate you. Right? Because people see older people die from heart attacks. People see older people die from, hypertension and diabetes, get body parts amputated, and then they end up dying. And, people see older people fall and break their hip and they got to get their hips replaced and all that type of shit. And then, I forget what the percentages are, but put it like this. The majority of people over the age of 65 if they fall down and break their hip and get a hip replacement, the majority of those people die within 2 years of getting that hip replacement. I don't want to be like that. That's why when I get older, again, God willing, if I live to be that age, I'm going to still be exercising. I'm going to be that old man that you see at the gym. You know what I mean? That's going to be Freeze. You're going to see old ass Freeze at the gym. You know what I mean? That's who I want to be. You know, I don't want to be no old motherfucker laid up in the hospital, can't move, and, you know, people got to wipe my ass for me and all that type of shit, man. Hell no. Hell no. But like I said, the decisions that you make now are going to affect how your future is. So, you know, all that smoking and drinking and getting high, that shit feel good now. But if you keep on doing that shit, your future ain't going to be cool. You don't want to be an old motherfucker like the last 10, 15 years of your life is just miserable. You know, I seen one of my uncles go through that, man. Like my Uncle Chuck, man, the last like 20 years of his life, man, was just, man. And he just did that shit with a smile on his face, man. Like he was a strong man. But boy, he was suffering like a motherfucker, man. I don't want to be like that. So if there's anything I can do about it, which I know it is, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what you should do. But Reap Cash, back to you saying, you know, the chicks love that vibe more. Like, yeah, because it's easier for them to deal with. See, when you a high maintenance motherfucker, you gonna repel a lot of bitches. You gonna scare a lot of bitches off. But that's good though. Because a lot of them bitches, when you're low hanging fruit, when you're a low maintenance nigga, a lot of them bitches that you attract are not good for you. They not good for themselves. You know, so on the same token, when you're a high maintenance man on your grown man shit, in a love affair with yourself, you know, carrying yourself in a godlike fashion, the women that you do attract 9 times out of 10 are going to be the kind of women that you want. You know, the women that ain't afraid of that, because back to the low hanging fruit, the low maintenance shit, the women that are attracted to low maintenance niggas, 9 times out of 10, they're not, I ain't gonna say not attracted, but you know, they might not feel like they're good enough for, you know, a high caliber motherfucker. That's just like you might want a Rolls Royce, you know, but because your credit might not be right or your money might not be right, you ain't gonna even go to the Rolls Royce dealership and entertain the idea of having a Rolls Royce because you know you don't qualify. On the same token, that's how bitches is with certain men. When you got your shit together a certain type of way, you know, certain bitches might like you, but they not even gonna waste their time approaching you because they know they don't qualify. But the ones that do approach you, or that, you know, you know, are worthy for you to approach, yeah, they're not gonna be so afraid of you because, you know, they got their shit together. They responsible young ladies. And that's what you want in your life. You dig? You don't need all the action. You just need the right action. You know, because I've been in the game for so long, yeah, I done had quite a bit of hoes, you know what I mean? But I know most people who have been in the game as long as I have had way more 304s than me. But guess what? Also, they've had way more than me, way more problems. You know, way more problems. And I don't want way more problems. I want way more quality, way more money, way more quality of life. You dig? Way more quality of people that I keep around me, man. That's what I want. I want way more quality and way more money. You dig? So yeah, man. The bottom line though, is the food for thought for young ladies in the game. Do your best to be your best. Make better choices. Make better choices about the type of food that you feed yourself. Make better choices about what you put in your body and what you should not put in your body. Make better choices about how you treat yourself, how you care about yourself. You only have one body, and the one body that you have is beautiful and is precious. And it's to be treated as such. When something is precious, you're not going to treat it like garbage. Some people think diamonds are precious and jewelry is precious. They don't treat it like garbage. And that's a possession, that can't be compared to a human body in terms of value. So if some people got a car that they treat, as precious and care and cherish for, like it's near and dear to them. So if you got a car that you don't treat any kind of way, what more your body? What more your mind? And see, when you cherish your body a certain way, when you cherish your mind a certain way, when you cherish your soul a certain way, then not only are you going to be careful and intentional about what you put in your mouth and what you put in your mind, but you're going to be that way also with the people that you put in your life, including who you choose to be down for in this game, as your folks. You're going to be intentional about that too. And the type of individual that you need to choose is somebody that carry themselves like a god. And I ain't talking about somebody who just look good and dress fly and talk good and all that type of shit. No, I'm talking about a motherfucker that really treat themselves in a godlike fashion. They're not putting garbage in their body. They're not feeding garbage to their mind. And they not dealing with garbage ass bitches. Yeah, this is the type of pimp that you need to be representing in the game as a young lady. You dig? But yeah, man, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up, man. But if you have not wiped your feet off at the door before you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do a pimp a favor and wipe your feet off at the door as you step out of here. Yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up, man. As always, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. I appreciate you for sharing this video. I appreciate you for subscribing. I appreciate you for hitting the bell when you subscribe. I appreciate all the comments, questions, input, jokes, feedback, all that good stuff. I appreciate all the super chats, the cash apps, the PayPals. I appreciate you for your support in every which way that you comes with it, man. Y'all already know who it is and what it is. Freeze is it. If you out in traffic moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out.